Welcome to Finding Holiness, where we delve into timeless Torah wisdom, revealing the sacred in everyday moments. Join us on a journey to elevate your spirituality and discover holiness in every aspect of life. I'm your host, Rabbi David Kadosh, and together, let's embark on a path of spiritual exploration. I hope you enjoy this next episode. All right, welcome everybody. Bruchim habayim. Thank you everyone for coming out on this rainy Monday and joining us for the Parashat HaShavua class. It's great to see everyone. Great to have everyone joining online. And we're ready to go. Parashat Haye, Sara, another classic. Let's just go over some basic points of the parasha, and then we'll go into today's lesson and message. The parasha really has one major theme, which is not at the beginning. At the beginning, it's called Haye Sara because the Torah informs us of Sarah's death at 127 years old. And the parasha begins with Abraham negotiating with a man called Ephron to buy the burial plot for him and his wife. And he sets his eyes on Me'arat HaMachpelah, which already Adam and Chava were already buried there. And after some tense negotiations, Abraham technically gets ripped off and messed over by Ephron, but he ends up purchasing the plot. After which point, he sends his servant Eliezer to go and find a wife for his son Yitzhak. This takes most of the parasha. And he informs him, he gives him strict instructions. You're not going to go to the land of the Canaanim, but rather you're going to go to my family. That's where you're going to find. And Eliezer goes, he makes this strange request from God that, the girl that comes and offers me water and offers my camels water, that's the girl who's going to be for Yitzchak. The Gemara actually tells us that that's an inappropriate request because Hashem could have sent a blind girl that could have done the same thing, or a woman that is lame. But yet, we know that Rivka is the one that ends up over there, and that Rivka is the one that gets chosen. And after again negotiations with Rivka's father Betuel, who ends up dying in the parsha, and the brother Lavan, they agree that Rivka can marry Yitzchak, and they come and they take back Rivka. She comes back to Abraham's house and to be with Yitzchak. The parasha really ends with Abraham getting remarried. I wouldn't say remarried, but married again to a woman named Keturah. And he has, again, many children with her, which, again, Abraham is the father of pretty much all nations. So these were more nations that came from Abraham, but none, of course, as important as Yitzchak, who, ki be'Yitzchak yikareh lecha zara. Abraham Avinu passes away at the age of 175 years old, and is buried by Yitzchak and Ishmael. And that's pretty much the parasha in a nutshell. But the main theme of the parsha, the main topic, no question, is this episode with Eliezer finding a wife for Yitzchak. Like I said, eventually it's going to be Rivka. She is the lucky lady, as we should say. Or maybe Yitzchak is the lucky man. Of course, they're both lucky, let's say, as Avot and Imahot. I want to focus on one idea in the name of Rav Baruch Rosenblum. Rav Baruch Rosenblum's Shita is one of the biggest Magidei Shiur on the Parashat HaShavua in the world. He gives a weekly class to hundreds of listeners in Bnei Brak that is listened online by thousands of people. It's very in-depth. And sometimes when I have the time, I go and I listen to it in my car, but they're long classes. They're about an hour and a half. Today's class is not an hour and a half, so don't worry about that. But he does share a nice idea, and on the parasha. This was probably given a few years back that I wanted to share today. The pasuk tells us, "Ve'Abraham zaken ba bayamim, v'Hashem berach et Abraham bakol." Abraham was getting old in age, and Hashem blessed Abraham with everything. And the Siforno, one of the great commentators on Chumash, tells us that here he made his servant Eliezer swear that he was going to take an appropriate, or I should say, a good woman for his son Yitzchak, and made him promise not to take a girl from the Canaanite nations, and as well not to be bribed by somebody else that might want their daughter. Everybody wants to be part of Abraham's family. He is the go-to guy. He's wealthy. He's made a name for himself, and he made Eliezer promise that he was going to get a really, really good girl. And the famous pasuk that he says in the 24th parak, Parak Dalet, Hashem Elohei Hashamayim Asher lekachani mi bet avi u'me'eretz molati, God, who is the God of the heavens, who took me from my father's house, he made me promise that he promised to me that he was going to give me this land, and now hu yishlach malacho lefanecha, he's going to send an angel with you, Eliezer, v'lakachta isha livni misham, and you are going to go take a woman from the place of my birth. And Rashi says something very interesting here. He says, notice how Abraham said, Hashem Elohei Hashamayim, the God of the heavens. He didn't say Elohei Hashamayim ve'ha'aretz. He said, Rashi says, V'lo amar Elohei ha'aretz. He didn't say God of the earth. Ulmala, but 4 verses earlier, the pasuk says, Ve'ashbiacha b'Hashem Elohei Hashamayim ve'Elohei ha'aretz. So why did he omit that in this instruction to Eliezer that Hashem was the God of the land, when 4 verses before, he didn't mention anything about he did mention the God of the land. So Rashi says, Amar lo, achshav hu Elohei Hashamayim ve'Elohei ha'aretz. Now, at this moment, God is the God of Shamayim and Aretz. Sheirgati befi abriot, because I made Hashem's name known in the mouth of the mankind. Avak shelakachani mi bet avi, when Hashem took me from my father's house, Haye Elohei Hashamayim ve'lo Elohei ha'aretz. He was definitely considered a God in the heavens, but he was not a God by the people living here on earth. Shelo hayu ba'ei olam makirim bo, because people didn't know Hashem. Ushmo lo haya ragil ba'aretz. His name was not common. His name was not spoken about until I taught it to them. Okay, so very good. Very nice Rashi, nice little Dvar Torah. Okay. But why does Eliezer need to know this? Why, if this is Rashi's message, why does his servant need to know this piece of information? Setting out on a mission to go find his son a wife. It goes in the way, I'm telling you now it's Elohei Hashamayim, but that's because before it was only Hashamayim, now everybody's Elohei Ha'aretz, they know who Hashem is. What's happening over here? So, Eliezer actually wanted his daughter to marry Yitzchak. This is something that's brought down in the Midrash. And because Eliezer was a very, very religious man, he was a very holy man, and he drew from the Torah of his rabbi, which was Avraham Avinu, and he felt that what he learned from his rabbi was warranted his daughter at least to be given a chance to marry Yitzchak. However, Avraham Avinu refused to give in. Avraham Avinu did not want anything to do. He didn't want to make this shidduch with Eliezer's daughter and Yitzchak. Why is that the case? And the Midrash says, very famous line, Amar lo, Ata arur ubeni baruch. You, Eliezer, are cursed. Beni, my son, is Baruch, is blessed. Ve'en arur mitedabek bebaruch. One who is cursed cannot cling, cannot join together with someone who is blessed. So Avraham Avinu instead sends him to his land, to his family where he grows up, okay, to a place, to a family that actually is in the midst of worshiping idols. Okay, so that was the problem over here, okay? And so you're not good enough, Eliezer. You're not good enough because you are cursed. You're a good guy, but your family's cursed. Okay, my family's blessed. But I'm going to send you to my family's house somewhere far in Haran, okay? And you're going to see, that's where you're going to find, hopefully, a woman for my son. Eliezer gets to Lavan's house, and the Torah tells us, Anochi piniti yabayit umakom lagemalim. I cleared out the house and a place for the camels. Rashi says, what do you mean he cleared out the house? What was it? He was a cleaning company going over there with a broom, and what time he cleared out the house? So Rashi says, Piniti abayit me'avodah zara. I actually cleared the house free of idol worship. So Avraham Avinu doesn't want his son to marry a daughter from Benota Kenani because their midot, their traits are garbage, and because they are a cursed nation. But yet, I'm going to have my son marry a girl from a house or from families that are clearly worshiping Avodah Zarah. We know this because he went there and he cleared out the idols. So what's going on? Would it not be better to go and, okay, fine, at least you know Eliezer, he's a good guy, he's a holy guy. So what? They might have some bad midot in the family, but Eliezer's a good guy. So why not send your son over there to his family rather than go to Lavan's house, which is filled with idolatry? You would think that a few bad midot is worse than that of idol worship, God forbid. Comes Ziran, Rabbeinu Nisim, in one of his rashot, quoted by the Kli Yakar and many others, and it teaches us a very important yesod. Midot, our character traits, are passed down from parent to child. It's an inherited part of our lives. If our parents and grandparents have a certain midah, then chances are we are going to accept, retrieve, and absorb those same midot. Your hashkafa, your outlook in life, however, is not a Yerusha. It is not something that is transmitted from generation to one generation. A person can be stricken with a midah of jealousy, okay, or even a good midah of being generous, and that midah will pass from generation to generation because the child sees what his father and what his mother did and what his grandparents did, and they want to replicate their parents and grandparents for the good and for the not good. But at the same time, when it comes something with regards to outlook, like Avodah Zarah, I want to worship this God, or I don't believe in this God and I believe in that God, whatever it is, that's something that can change. And Avraham Avinu, therefore, is telling, back to the question, he wants to tell Eliezer at this moment, you should know, this is proof. Because there was once upon a time that I grew up in the house of my father, who was an idol worshiper, who was Terach. And everybody around him was an idol worshiper. But I didn't learn from his ways. I managed to change myself. Because outlook, hashkafa, does not get passed down from father to son. And therefore, now he might be Elohei Haaretz, because I worked hard in teaching that. But you should know that when I started at the beginning, to the eyes of many, he was just Elokei Hashamayim. He was just in the eyes of heaven. And therefore, he's telling Eliezer, he's kind of hinting him right now, this is the reason why I can't accept your daughter for my son. Because you come from a family that is mashchit. You come from a family with midot mashchitim, with character traits that are just ugly, character traits that have no value. So how can I send my daughter? How can I send you to Lavan's house when it's filled with idolatry? Because that's the thing. A person can change his hashkafa. A person's outlook in life are not transmitted from father to son. In fact, there's a Gemara in Masechet Nida that says, Shalosha shutafin yesh ba'adam. There are three partners in the creation of man. HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Aviv ve'imo. God, his father, and his mother. So the Gemara says, Aviv mazriya haloven. The father provides the body for anything that is white. For example, the bones, which are white, the sinews, and the nails, and the moach, that's the brain, and the loven sheba'ain, the white parts of the eye. Okay? It's obvious why the father provides the white part of the body. Imo mazra'at odem. The Gemara says that the mother provides all the reddish parts of the body. The oru basar, the skin, the flesh, se'arot, the skin, the hair, shachor sheba'ain, the black of the eye, and HaKadosh Baruch Hu, ruach u'neshama u'klaster panim. HaKadosh Baruch Hu provides the neshama, of course, the fact that uriyat ha'ayin, the fact that you can see, the fact that you can hear, the fact that you can speak, the ability to walk, the ability to think, that's all HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So what do we do? Everything physical, everything that is flesh, blood, bones, and the whatnot, the chomriyut, come from the parents. And that is something that is passed down. That's why we tend to look like our parents. and our parents look like their parents. Okay, it's something that is passed down. But the hashkafa part, my outlook, the way I see things, the way I hear things, the way I think, not the brain, but the way I use my brain, that's the hashkafa, that comes from Hashem. And therefore, that can be changed because that's not transmitted from our parents. So, if you look back a few weeks ago when we studied the parasha of Noach and the story of the flood, there's a little episode there where Noach gets drunk after the flood, and the Torah tells us, "Vayesh min hayayin vayishkar vayitgad betoch ha'olo." He drank a lot of wine, and he revealed himself in his tent. He was naked in his tent. The Torah says, "Vayar Cham avi Chenan et ervat aviv, vayaged lishnei echav bachutz." Cham, who was the father of Canaan, saw the nakedness, and he went to go tell his two brothers, Shem and Yefet. So the Gemara asks, or the Mefarshim asks, why do you have to mention that Cham was the father of Canaan? Who cares? The Torah only mentions the lineages of Shem, Cham, and Yefet later on and their children. But it comes out of the blue. Vayar Cham avi Canaan. Just says, Vayar Cham. Cham saw this father was naked. So Rashi says, Canaan ra'a ve'igid la'aviv. Cham wasn't the first one to see Noach naked. It was Canaan. It was Noach's grandson. He was the first one to see Noach naked. And he went and he told his father. And that's why he was involved in the eventual curse where Noach was going to curse Cham and his descendants. And then he told his father Cham, and Cham went and told Shem and Yefet. And it was only when Shem and Yefet realized, what are you doing leaving your dad like this? Go and cover him, and then he went to cover him. So why would Noach curse all the generations of Canaan? As the Torah dictates. Arur Canaan eved avadim yelechav. Cursed is Canaan, they will be slaves of slaves. Did the children of Canaan do anything? Okay, Canaan's guilty. Cham's guilty. But why are you faulting Canaan's son and his grandson and his great-grandson? This is a curse that lasts till today, arguably. So why are you punishing them? And the answer is because Noach already knew that Cham was an individual with horrible midot. And he deserved this. How did he know this? From the Teva, from the flood. The time of the flood, the Gemara Masechet Sanhedrin, Daf Kuf Chet says that 3 people performed relations, intimate relations, on the Teva when they were not allowed to. There were 3, not people, 3 beings. The dog, the raven, and Cham. The dog, the raven, and the Cham. They were each punished on their own right. So the whole world is being destroyed. Kol ha'olam batzara. And we don't even know if we're going to survive this. You have one instruction. You cannot have intimate relations with your spouse or with the opposite gender. And then, yes, you go and you do this. So Noach already knew that Cham had bad midot. So Noach could have said, you know what? Maybe I'll let Cham go. But it can't be, because he knows that once he saw Canaan do the same thing, he goes, this is clear proof. So therefore, Eved Avadim Yelechav. I hate to tell you, but if your dad has this, and then your son has this, then your grandson and your great-grandson, and all the way down, because that's what Midot do. Midot have that ability, for good and for bad, to go generation after generation. There was a man in history that said the following line: you shall love one another. Ehevu ze et ze. You shall love one another. So if I was to ask you, who do you think said this line? You might think of someone like the Baal Shem Tov, or some great chassid, the Lubavitcher Rebbe, or some great Ohev Yisrael. This line was actually recited by Canaan, Cham's son. He said 5 things, in fact, the Midrash tells us. Evu ze et ze, love one another. Evu et hagezel, love robbery. Evu et hazima, love promiscuity. Sinu et adonechem, hate your masters. Ve'al tidabru emet, and don't speak truth. Those were the 5 things that he commanded his children. So now, what doesn't make sense over here? Number 1 doesn't really make sense. It doesn't really belong among the other four instructions to his children. So how do we make sense of this? So Rav Yecheskel Levenstein, Zecher Tzadiv Bracha, the great Mashgiach, he says, when he said, Ehevu zeh et zeh, when Canaan said, love this one and that one, or this one should love, whatever, he wasn't referring to the Rabbi Akiva statement of Ve'ahavta lereacha kamocha zeh klal gadol b'Torah. That was not what Canaan was referring to. But rather, he was saying, you have to be united in the evil that you perform. Love each other when you are committing evil. If one person is the thief, then you have to have the other guy looking from on top, the vantage point, to making sure he's not getting caught. Love each other. If one person gets caught, don't snitch on your friend. You gotta love him. You gotta let him go. Don't snitch on your friend. So Canaan taught his followers, his children, and his grandchildren the main rule of the law of evil, which is be together in your evil. So when Eliezer comes and wants to marry his daughter, and wants his daughter to marry Yitzchak, and he presents the shidduch to Abraham Avinu, Abraham Avinu says, I'm sorry, Eliezer, but you come from Canaan, and therefore, Ata Arur, you are cursed, Ubeni Baruch, and my son is blessed. Be'en Arur medabek beBaruch, and a cursed person cannot join together with a Baruch, because bad midot do not change. Okay, so if that's the case, then why does Hashem hold it against us? Why is it, if we can't change our midah, if my grandfather was a stingy person, then how can you blame me for being a stingy person? Why does he tovea on our midot? This was the question that Job asked Hashem. Gemara relates in Masechet Bava Batra that Eov wanted to redeem the whole world from, or exempt the whole world from strict judgment. And he looked up at God and he said, Ribono shel olam, barata shor parsotav sedukot. You created an ox with split hooves. Barata chamor parsotav klutot. And you created a donkey with closed hooves. Barata gan eden, barata geinam. You created heaven, you created hell. Barata tzadikim, barata reshayim. You made righteous, you created wicked. Mi me'akev yadecha. Who can stop you? You put this in. You created the world. You gave each other these to be a tzaddik, a rasha. So that's what Eov was saying. Is it possible to even change the hooves of an ox to the hoof of a donkey? Can a tzaddik change to be a rasha? So the friends are listening to this. The friends, Eov had friends in the whole story. And the Gemara says, Umay adru lechavre. What does friends answer him? Af ata tafer yirah v'tikra sicha lifnei el. Certainly you will mitigate fear of heaven and diminish anger. Bara kadosh baruch hu yetzer hara, bara lo Torah tavlin. Yes, HaKadosh Baruch Hu created things. He gave this bad midah to this person, and he gave this bad midah to that person. This guy has a yetzer hara to steal, and this guy's a yetzer hara to speak lashon hara, and this guy's a yetzer hara to break Shabbat. This guy's yetzer hara to eat non-kosher. Everyone has their own yetzer haras that plague them day in and day out. But there is a Torah that is the antidote. There's a Torah that we have that can change this. A kamsan, if a father is a kamsan, yes, his son can be a kamsan. If father's stingy, his son is going to be stingy. If a father's Baal Gavan, he's an arrogant person, then his son's going to be arrogant. But Barati Yetzer Hara, Barati Torah Tavlin, the Torah has the ability to change the midot of a person, and it was given to every person to study, to look, to study the stories of our Avot HaKedoshim, to study Moshe Rabbeinu, to study Aharon, to seek peace, and to, for whatever it is that you're trying to fix. That's what the Torah can do. Eliezer was a Canaani. Even though he reached a tremendous level of ruchniut. Because, how did he do so? Simple. He was doleu masker mi Torat Rabbo. He was able to draw from the Torah of his teacher. So he himself, who inherited such bad midot as a Canaani, he was cursed way back from the time of Noah, but Eliezer was a tzaddik. He was Abraham's shamash. How did he change? He changed because he learned the Torah from Abraham Avinu. But it stopped there. And his daughters didn't learn that Torah from their father. And therefore, their midot went back and were nishhat. They were really, really not good midot. And therefore, this is the reason why Abraham says, I'm sorry, I can't give your daughter to my son to marry. The Midrash tells us very famously that HaKadosh Baruch Hu says, he made a promise that his name and his kiseh are not going to be complete until the eradication of Amalek's name. We talk about this a lot on Shabbat Zachor, right before Purim. So therefore, HaKadosh Baruch Hu commanded Shmuel to tell Shaul HaMelech that you need to go and wipe out Amalek. That's your job. There you go. And get rid of everybody, man, woman, children, animals. Everyone's got to go. What's the reason? Because Amalek velo yareh Elokim. The Torah tells us that Amalek did not fear God. Here, as the whole world is shaking after Kiryat Yamsuf, the sea splits. It's literally trembling. Everywhere in the world saw that miracle. No matter where you lived, water split everywhere, and they knew it was because of the Jews. They saw how God was shaking the world for the purpose of the Jewish people. And Amalek comes from hundreds of kilometers away, and to cool off that feeling of holiness. He goes, I'm going to show you that there is no God. Kofer ba'ikar, deny his existence completely. En yareh Elokim, the Torah says. And therefore, we have to get rid of them. But if there's an Amalek dude who walks into a Jewish Beit Din and he's wearing a t-shirt that says, I am Amalek. And he says, hi, rabbis, I would like to convert to Judaism. What do the rabbis tell him? No. They give him a chumash. They say, okay, go study, and you have your test in a month. And in 1 month, he comes back and he knows his beans, and because he studied and he said the mitzvot and he's legit, and he wants to convert to Judaism, we accept a person from Amalek. The same guy that we're commanded to wipe out, we accept him as a ger. How's that? How can that be? How can that be? Amalek. How can we accept him? Because your outlook can change. You might not fear God now, but I can change that in you because that's a hashkafa. In fact, the Gemara tells us that the grandsons of Haman were learning Torah in Bnei Brak. How? Because they were able to change. They were able to do teshuvah. You can change the outlook in life. They were learning Torah in Bnei Brak. Hashkafa can change. Midot can't. And that's why there's a group of people in this world that can never join the Jewish nation. And who are those people? The nations of Ammon and Moab. The Torah says, can never join. Lo yavo Ammoni u'Moavi bikal Hashem gam dor asiri. Even 10 generations away, they can't join. Why? Because they did not come and greet the Jews nicely when they were passing through their land and offer them bread and water. The lack of midot, the lack of hospitality, was enough of a reason for Hashem to say, sorry, you can't come in. You can't come here. You can't join our nation. Again, to show you the importance of the midot that we have. The Jewish people are rachamim, baishanim, and gomlech hasadim, we are told. We are shy and humble. We are merciful. And we love to give. We are filled with loving kindness. That's who we are. And we cannot accept anyone who doesn't fit that criteria. So yes, Eliezer, you might have fixed yourself. You studied my Torah. You were able to uproot all of that evil negativity and those evil traits that were embedded within you. Chazaku Baruch. and you removed yourself from the cursed category, but your children are still Canaanim, and therefore they still maintain those evil traits, and they cannot join. So Eliezer accepts. So, sorry daughter, not for you, I gotta go. So he makes his way to go find the shidduch for Yitzchak. He goes to Haran. Where they're worshiping idols, but that's okay, because we can change an outlook. Then the pasuk says, "Vayomer Hashem Elokei Adoni Abraham." Vayomar Hashem Elokei Adoni Abraham, Hakrena lefanai yom aseh chesed im Adoni Abraham. Please, God of Abraham, do for me a chesed. So Gemara tells us that the whole Eliezer got to Haran in like one day. Kfitzat haderech. These miracles happen every so often. Happened for Yaakov. Happened in a few places. Boom! Like the whole world shrunk, and he managed to get to Haran in one day with 10 camels. And then he looks to Hashem and he says, God, Hine anochi nitzav alena mayim. Here I behold, I am standing on the water spring. And then he gives the criteria. Whoever is the girl that's going to come and give me the drink and my camels to drink, she's going to be the one. But before we get to there, why does Eliezer have to look up to God and say, I am here standing on the water, the spring? Enamai. God doesn't know where he is. God has x-ray of x-ray visions. You can't hide from him. No way. Doesn't matter where you are. He can see exactly where you are, especially when you're in the open. So why does he have to tell him this? So we're going to get back to this. Second question. Again, the girl that is going to give me to drink and give my donkeys to drink, my camels to drink, you will have proven that she is for Yitzchak. Rashi says, she would have done so much chesed, she's deserving to join the house of Abraham. Again, Eliezer was looking. He already understood that he needed to find a girl with good midot, because his daughter was disqualified because she didn't have good midot. But she's looking for a ba'alat chesed, a girl who her entire self, her image, and everything about her is just giving and giving and giving. It's not just enough that she gives me to drink, but I want her to give my camels to drink as well. And that's going to be a girl who is balat chesed. That's, in his mind, that's the test. Says Rav Baruch Rosenblum, I don't understand this request whatsoever. And what? If she only gives him to drink, that's not balat chesed? Even if she brings a jug, that's a balat chesed. Especially some say that she was really, really young. Now she's going to give him to drink, for sure balat chesed. Now you want the camels as well? Why did he have to ask this? She would have been a balat chesed even just giving a jug. Probably even just saying, hi, how are you? Most people don't even do that. They're afraid of strangers. You can probably, hi, how are you? Is a good enough sign. More than that, he says, is that Rivka had no obligation whatsoever to fulfill that request. In fact, it was against halacha. It was against halacha to fulfill the request of Eliezer. Where do we know this from? There's a mitzvah in the Torah, in Parashat Mishpatim, where the Torah says, Azov ta'azov imo. There's a mitzvah to help out a friend, a person, whose animal is being overloaded with weight. The animal is too much weight, and the animal is just on the ground, can't move. And you got to help. You see your friend, this is your friend, now you got to help him. Azov ta'azov, you got to go and you got to assist your friend. Imagine the following scenario. The guy's got his camel. He's got 1 ton of stuff on the camel. The camel can't move, the donkey, whatever it is, the animal, you can't move. Now, you go over there, you have a mitzvah. Hey, sir, you need some help? Yes, please, thank you, please come help me. Sure. Where would you like, can you please take the what's on the camel? The boxes on the camel, I need them over there. And then you start going, sure, no problem. You grab this side, and I grab this side. If the owner of the camel or the donkey says, no, you do this by yourself. Do it by myself? Goodbye, have a good day. Goodbye, I'm not helping you. I'm not obligated to help you. Because the Torah says, Azov ta'azov imo. You have to help with him. You have to be part in the assistance. So, how does that work? You can literally say, goodbye, I'm not helping you, and you're still a balat chesed. So, you have the obligation to assist a person that wants to help you. So Eliezer goes to Rivka, and he looks at Rivka and he says, Hatina chadech ve'eshke. Tilt your jug so I will drink. So Rivka should say, are you going to help me tilt the jug? Water's heavy. According to Rashi, she's only 3 years old. Okay, fine. We won't talk about this year. But let's say according to Rashi, 3 years old. You're going to help her tilt the jug? Because according to law, according to halakha, that's what you have to do. If not, see you later. I don't have to help you. And you want me to come and feed your camels? You want me to go? You know how much a camel drinks of water? Every camel, you had 10 camels, 30 liters of water. They say that's just to get them going for a little bit. Each camel, 300 liters of water. You know what that weighs? And you're not going to help me? Ota ochachta. Eliezer says, that's the proof that I'm looking for. A woman or a girl who's going to do it, even though she doesn't have to do it. That's the proof. That's the hochacha that I'm looking for, Hashem. That you're gonna bring that to me. If I see it, I know she's right. So there's a deep yesod here that we have to talk about, because technically, again, she didn't have to do this. So why was he so adamant? Why is he so adamant that this girl had to go beyond anything any other normal person would do in order for him to accept her as the wife of Yitzchak? The Gemara tells us, there's a pasuk in Micha, Higid lecha adam ma tov u'ma Hashem dores mimcha ki im asot mishpat ve'avat chesed ve'atzni'a lechet im Elohecha. You want to know what's good? Asot mishpat, judgment. Avat chesed, gmilut chasadim, ve'atzni'a lechet im Elohecha. Bitzanua, some say this is escorting someone who died, or as well bringing in a chatan and kala. What does it mean, avat chesed? To love chesed. To love chesed. The Mishnah in Pirkei Avot says, Yehi betecha patuach lirvacha. Let your house be open to welcome people, for guests. How do you do that? So, a person's house should be open. My doors are open. Whoever wants to come in, the north, the south, the east, the west, Baruchim Habayim. They say that Eov, the same man who we spoke about earlier, he had all of his 4 doors open to his home. Anybody that wanted to come can come in. Ve'yu aniim b'nei betecha, and the poor people should be part of your home, and whatever they want, you give them to eat. This is Eov. Eov was great. But then Eov got stricken with a lot of affliction. And Eov looked up to God and said, Ribono shel olam, I don't get it. Lo hayiti ma'achil re'evim u'mashket tzemeim. Did I not give the people that were hungry to eat? My doors were open. They were unlocked. Everybody was ready to come in. God said very famously, he goes, Eov, chazak u'baruch. But you should know, you didn't even reach half of the shiur of Abraham Avinu. Half. You didn't even reach half. You wait in your home, and you leave your doors unlocked. And anybody that wants to come in, comes in. And if they come in and they want meat, you give them meat. And if they want wine, you give them wine. If they want turkey, you give them turkey. That's what you did. But Abraham Avinu, he wasn't like that. If Abraham didn't see an oreach, if he didn't see a guest, he went out to go look for the guest. And a person that didn't have the custom he wasn't used to eating meat because it was beyond his budget, he would give him meat. If a person was not used to having the fancy Chardonnay, he would give him the fancy Chardonnay or the Merlot or whatever it was, even though that's not something they were used to. Everybody that came in, he went all out for them. That was the difference between Abraham and Eov. Eov just sat in his room, he sat in his house, and again, he just took orders. Here's our menu. Okay, I like this, okay. Abraham Avinu was beyond that. Abraham Avinu, if someone came and go, what do you want to eat? So a guy would say, 2 pitas. I'd like 2 pitas. 2 pitas? What do you mean 2 pitas? 2 pitas, you eat that at home. Have you ever tried French baguette? French baguette with some butter or some za'atar. That's what I'm going to make you eat. Okay, the guy feels at home. That guy feels this is special. Okay, first course, what do you want to eat? I usually have a salad. Salad, rapid food. God, come on, I'm going to give you something delicious. I'm going to give you this fancy, and he brings out something that's unreal. Why do we want the main course? Okay, I usually eat schnitzel and chips. Okay, schnitzel with French fries. That's what I have main course. Schnitzel and French fries. Come on, what is this? Schnitzel, French fries. That's when you're rushing, you make quickly schnitzel, you take it out of the bag, frozen, you put it in. Come, I'm going to give you some lamb chops. I'm going to give you lamb chops. So the people were so mesmerized by this level of chesed. Person that loved chesed so much, they would go, thank you so much. How can I repay you? What is this called? Let me pay you something. Abraham Avinu said, free. Free. All you have to do is come sit here, Birkat Hamazon, with me. Birkat what? What? Birkat Hamazon. What is that? That's where we thank God that He gave us the food. Who's God? You don't know who God is? Let me tell you about God. And then He teaches him. He says about God. So that's the difference between Abraham and Eov. If a person comes and asks for a loan, I need $500. Can you help me? Yeah, of course. B'simcha, you're my friend. I want to help you. Chesed, of course, it's chesed. Can't come knocks on your door in the middle of the night or whatever, 11 o'clock, say, listen, my car can't start. Do you have any jumper cables? Can you help me? Yeah, of course. You're my friend. Come, I want to help you. And he helps jumpstart the car. That's chesed, no question. But it's chesed out of rachamim. It's chesed out of mercy. I feel bad. The guy can't start his car. He's got to get somewhere. I feel bad. He needs $500 because, for whatever, he needs groceries, whatever. He needs $500. So I'm giving him, I'm helping him. But then there's a situation where you're looking to give. If a guy has a gemach, a gemilut chasadim, where he has $20,000 that he can give to whoever needs it, but nobody comes and knocks on his door for it. Okay, good for me. I have my $20,000. I keep my $20,000. But here we're talking about a guy that's going out and he's looking. You need money? Do you need money? Do you need money? You need money, right? You're going away, right? Here, let me help you. It's for sure a big expense. You're going to Israel, seminary, yeshiva. Here, I got some money for you. Come and help. That's rodef chesed. That's a person who is chasing the chesed. Avraham Avinu had a business of hachnasat orchim. It was an empire. He would have people working for him, searching for those who needed to eat, those who needed hachnasat kala, those who needed ezrat achim, those who needed all the different organizations that we had was all under the umbrella called Abraham's Chesed. That's what Abraham Avinu was. It was literally a corporation, and that's the difference between the two sides of Chesed. You have a Chesed of Eov, and you have a Chesed of Abraham Avinu. He brings a wonderful example here. Imagine you have a woman who is breastfeeding, okay, and she leaves the child home with some milk that she put in a bottle. Now the child is doing fine. The child's drinking, but after a while, if she doesn't give the baby to drink, she's in a lot of pain because the milk is building up, and she's got to release the milk. She needs to express the milk out. That's Abraham. It's not, I have to give out the chesed. If I don't, it's killing me here. So I'm going to go out, I'm going to have a brit milah, I'm suffering, but I don't care. I don't care if it's 60 degrees outside. I need to find people that I can help. And therefore, that was the ultimate test that Eliezer was looking for. If I only make the test sheteh, if I only say, if the girl only comes to me and says, here, you drink, that's a girl that's good enough for Eov's family. But a girl that comes and says, I'm going to give you to drink, and I'm going to give your camels to drink, and I'm not going to ask you to help me, That's a girl that belongs in Abraham Avinu's house. Because it's two different levels of chesed. So back to the question. Why did Eliezer have to look up at God and said, Hashem, I'm here standing al en hamayim. I'm here standing on the spring. God knows where he's standing. What's the thing? Unbelievable chidush that he brings down in the name of the Mayan Bet HaShoeva. When Yaakov Avinu, in a few weeks, parashiot, he comes and he meets Rachel for the first time. If you remember the story, there's a large rock on the well. And the shepherds are guarding the rock. Why is there a large rock? Why are you covering the well? He asks. So the Midrash explains, he goes, we have a limit here on how much water each family can take. There's a limit because there is a drought. And the levels are right now perfect. If we leave it open for everybody, then we're not going to have enough water for ourselves. So there's a quota that every family, this is what took place in the city where Rachel grew up, which was the same city that Eliezer is right now, trying to find Rivka, the city of Haran. This is where it was. In other words, there was a quota that everybody can take. So Eliezer is looking up to Hashem and saying, I'm right here in a spot where there's a quota as to how much water they're allowed to take. And I don't even reside in this city. I don't belong here. And I'm going to go ask for water. And the girl that shows me the chesed, that says, I don't care about the quota. You're thirsty, and your camels are thirsty, and going to give me the drink. That's a special level of chesed. And that's why he mentioned, I'm here standing on the En Hamayim in the city of Haran where there's a quota, where I'm technically not allowed to drink from this. We'll end up with the following idea. The Gemara tells us in Masechet Yevamot about the daughter of a man named Nechunya. Nechunya used to dig cisterns and wells, big cisterns and wells. She fell into the well. And they couldn't get her out of the well. They didn't even know if she was alive or injured. Couldn't get her out of the well. They went to Rabbi Hanina ben Dosa, who was the great rabbi of the time. After 1 hour of praying, he said, Shalom, peace. Second hour, Shalom, peace. Third hour of praying, Rabbi Hanina ben Dosa said, Alta. She's up. She's down. She's free. All good. So they went up to her and they said, how'd you get up? So she said, Zachar shedrechelim nizdamen vezaken manhigo. There was a male sheep that was presented to me, whatever this means. There's deep Kabbalistic explanations, but there was an old man directing it, and he was the one that pulled me up. Rashi says, who was this old man? Abraham Avinu. Abraham Avinu was the one that saved this girl. And the question is, since when does Abraham come and save someone like this? And what did she do to be zocheh that Abraham Avinu come and save? So the answer that is said by the Mefarshim is out of the zechut of her father, this man Nechunya, who should dig cisterns and wells. Why was he digging cisterns? So Rashi says, Le'ole regalim umayim mitkansi bahem vayu shotin hem uvemtan. People would come up to Yerushalayim for ole regel, as they would travel with their animals, and he would spend months digging these wells and cisterns, making water travel so that they can come and their animals can drink. Why does Rashi have to tell me that, this piece of information? Just told me he would dig cisterns. The answer is because Nechunya had no obligation to do this. No one asked him to dig wells and cisterns so that people traveling to Yerushalayim could have water to drink and their animals. A person that thinks like that has to be a descendant of Abraham Avinu. Has to be. And therefore, the fact that I'm going to get everybody to drink from this well and everybody to drink from these, and the animals to drink from this as well, he was zoched that his daughter, when she was in a precarious situation, a life-threatening situation, who was going to come and save her? Abraham Avinu. And that is, Rabotai, the importance of chesed that we do. There are two types of chesed. We said we are the chesed of Eov and the chesed of Avraham Avinu. Generally, when a person does chesed, they tend to look for things in return. I'll invite them to my house because maybe in the future they're going to invite me to my house, to their house. I'm going to lend them $500 because if I'm ever in a situation where I need $500, then I'm going to help. I'd like them to help me. I'm going to help jumpstart their car because if my car is dead, they're going to help me in return. There's nothing wrong with that. There is nothing wrong with that. There are two types of cheseds that you get absolutely nothing in return. Two. Number one is chesed im metim. When you do a chesed for those who've already passed, you bury that person and you pray that they don't want anything in return. And the second type of chesed that you do with nothing, expecting nothing in return, is when you do chesed for animals. That's a chesed that you get nothing back in return. You can't look at the sheep and say, hey, you better pay up. That's not the way it works. And therefore, v'gam gemalecha ashke. And I'm also going to, Rivka says, and I'm also going to give your camels to drink. That was the ultimate sign. That's how Eliezer says, this, ota ochachta le'avdecha le'Yitzchak. This is a clear proof that this is the one meant for Yitzchak. The power of midot, the power of chesed, the power, and that's what Abraham foresaw. I wish I could give you my son to your daughter Eliezer, but you have embedded bad midot. I'd rather go to my family in Haran. Yes, they're idol worshippers, but you're going to see, you can change that. And the parasha tells us that Rivka threw everything away. I want nothing to do with the idol worshippers. But deep down inside, she came from the family of Abraham. She was not only a well-respected woman, the leader, one of the matriarchs of our whole Jewish nation, but a person that personified what it is to give, and to give more. Wishing everybody a wonderful night.